Hello everyone, welcome to our Law Excellence's unique initiative, Current Affairs for Beginners. First of all, wishing you all a very happy and prosperous new year. In our core initiative, our motto is to make the beginners or to help the beginners to read the newspaper. Here what we will be doing is, when you are reading an article from the Hindu paper, if you come across a word or a term or an institution like World Bank or RBI or Niti Aayog or any term like habeas corpus or RTI or any constitutional provisions like articles, in this video we will be helping the beginner to read the article, but we will not be doing any analysis of that particular article. We will explain you what are all the terms, concepts, institutions or any new schemes that appear in the paper. Before starting our today's session, first let us see answers for the questions from our previous video. And students, from today onwards, for the questions that we provide in the previous video, in today's core notes, you will be given with detailed explanation for these questions. And we will also provide you with educational objective. Educational objective in the sense, what is the intention and how these questions are important for prelims. All these will be provided for you in our core video notes from today onwards. Now let us see the first question. Which of the following is or are correct with regard to Confederation of Indian Industries? The first statement is, the Confederation of Indian Industry is a business association in India. It correlates with government, NGOs and civil societies to help industries flourish, effective programs for social development. And the next statement is, the membership is open to a company or a firm in India that is engaged in manufacturing activity only. In this question, the statements 1 and 2 both are correct. Whereas if we see the statement 3, it is given here, the membership is open to a company or a firm in India that is engaged in manufacturing activity only. This is incorrect because it is not only for the companies that were engaged in manufacturing but also consultancy services. The firms that provide consultancy services can also acquire membership in this CII. So as the third statement is incorrect and only 1 and 2 are correct, the answer here is A. The next question is, with regard to credit rating agencies, select the correct answer from the following statements. A credit rating agency is a company which rates the debtors on the basis of their ability to pay back the debt in timely manner. Standard & Poor's and Moody's are the credit rating agencies. Credit rating agencies are registered with SEBI but not with RBI. Here the answer is D. All the above statements about credit rating agencies are correct. So the answer here is D. And now these are the 3 main questions for today from today's Hindu newspaper. And you can write answers for these questions in our www.CivilsPrep.com website. And we have also provided these main questions in our core video notes also. Now we'll start our today's session, and these are all the topics that we are going to cover in our today's video. And dear students, from today we have changed our notes pattern and we have given the notes in detail. Please do check it. And one more thing is, as I have already told, the motto of our core video is to help the beginners to read the Hindu newspaper and to understand it better. But we are not doing any analysis here. And as our focus is on beginners, we will be repeating the terms because our intention is to make them understand the article. Our first article is, government to set up food processing units on pilot basis soon. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of economy, and here the subtopic is food processing and related industries in India. And from the prelims point of view, what we need to study is various food processing industries, their significance, location and requirements in India. First of all, we should know what is meant by this food processing. Food processing means transformation of raw materials or raw ingredients into food, or converting this food into another form. That is, food processing can denote direct manufacturing of food using raw materials or any value addition to the existing food. This method of food processing, it typically takes harvested crops or animal products and uses these to produce long shelf life. That means the products will have long shelf life. To produce long shelf life food products, the food will be processed using the harvested crops or animal products. So we can say that there are two types of processes in food processing industry. One is manufacturing, directly from raw materials to food, and the other one is value addition, which will increase the life of that food product and it will add value to the manufactured food. And the next article is ASI declared 6 monuments of national importance. This article comes under GS paper 1 under the topic of art and culture. From this article, from the prelims point of view, what is important is we should know about this ASI and which are all the monuments that were listed down by ASI as of nationally important. Now we'll see about this ASI. What is this? Archaeological Survey of India. It is the premier organization for doing archaeological researches and protecting the cultural heritage of the country. Their main motto is to maintain the archaeological sites, ancient monuments and remains of national importance. What are all the monuments that were nationally important? It is this organization which will maintain and preserve that culture. Now, if we see some of the facts about this organization, this is headquartered in New Delhi and it is established by Alexander Cunningham in 1861. This organization will regulate all the archaeological activities according to an act from which it has got its responsibilities. That is, Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act of 1958. And this organization works under the Union Ministry of Culture. And this organization is not only responsible for regulating all the provisions that were mentioned in this act, but also to regulate the provisions of Antiquities and Art Treasure Act of 1972. And the next article is AFSPA to continue in Nagaland. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of internal security. From this article, now we are going to see what is this AFSPA. AFSPA means Armed Forces Special Powers Act. This act was enacted in 1958. This act will grant special powers to the Indian Armed Forces and the state and paramilitary forces in the areas that were considered as disturbed areas. This act gives powers to the army, state and central police forces to shoot a person in order to kill him and to search houses and destroy any property that has been used by the insurgents in the areas that were declared as disturbed areas. So according to this act, the security forces, they can arrest a person without any warrant, even if they get a reasonable suspicion on that person. And this act also provides the security forces with legal immunity. They will not be punished for their actions in the disturbed areas. The next one is Home Buyers Fear Dilution of Real Estate Act. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of governance, and here the subtopic is government policies and interventions for development in various sectors and issues arising out of their design and implementation. From the prelims point of view, we have to know the particulars of this Real Estate Regulation Authority Act, that is RERA Act. This act was enacted in 2016 in order to protect the home buyers and also to boost the investments in real estate industry. This act provides transparency and accountability in this real estate sector, because this was enacted with an objective to make it open the status of building approvals and to enable the customer to make accurate decisions regarding these buying options. This act aims to take steps to promote affordable housing to everyone. And the next article is NPA ratios improve but are still high. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of economy. From this article, let us see in brief about 4 terms. One is non-performing asset and the other one is prompt corrective action framework, and we'll see what is this capital adequacy ratio, and we'll also see about insolvency and bankruptcy code. We have already seen these 4 terms so many times in our videos. Now we'll see it in brief once again. First of all, non-performing asset. Non-performing asset is a loan for which the principal or interest payment remains overdue for a period of 90 days. If a customer fails to repay the loan that he has taken, even or the interest for the loan he took for a period of 90 days, then that particular loan will be considered as a non-performing asset by the banks. The next one is capital adequacy ratio. It is the ratio which will protect the banks against excess losses or insolvency, and it will keep the banks out of difficult situations. Capital adequacy means the amount of capital the bank needs to sustain itself from losses. This ratio is also known as capital to risk weighted assets ratio. This will be used for protecting the depositors and to promote stability of financial systems across the world. It is a measure of the capital of the bank which will be expressed as percentage of bank's risk weighted assets. This ratio will be usually decided by the central banks and other bank regulators in order to put a check on commercial banks to keep enough capital in order to manage the reasonable losses and to prevent them from taking excess leverage and resulting in becoming insolvent, a position where they'll not be able to repay their customers or repay their dues. In order to prevent the banks from entering into this situation, the central banks will fix this capital to risk weighted asset ratio. And the next one is prompt corrective action framework. In case if these non-performing assets were high, that means there were huge losses to the banks and the bank is facing worst financial situation. At that time, the RBI will invoke a set of guidelines or a framework to recover from this worst situation, to recover the financial situation by the banks, and that framework is known as prompt corrective action framework. What are the conditions or what are the parameters that will help or that will make the RBI to invoke this PCA is there are 4 parameters. One is capital or capital adequacy ratio. How much capital a bank should have to prevent or manage the losses. And the next one is asset quality, which will be determined by this number of non-performing assets. And the other one is profitability, that is return on assets, how much profit the bank has been getting. And the last one is leverage. So for all these 4 parameters, RBI has fixed a limits. If these banks they cross these limit, then to recover them from bad financial health, this framework or set of guidelines will be invoked on that particular bank. The last one is insolvency and bankruptcy code. I have told that insolvency means inability or a state of being to not able to repay the debts, whereas bankruptcy means it is a legal declaration. Legally it was declared that person has become insolvent. That means he cannot repay his debts. So to resolve this insolvency and bankruptcy issues, the government has brought in a code known as Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. This code will provide resolution process, how to sort out this issue, because a person who has become insolvent cannot pay back to his creditors. So this code provides a resolution plan to sort out this issue between these insolvent and the creditors. In case of corporates or big firms, then the adjudicating authority will be the National Company Law Tribunal, whereas in case of individuals, it is the Debt Recovery Tribunal, which is the adjudicating authority. The next article is core sector growth slows to 16-month low in November. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of economy, and here the subtopic is Indian economy and issues that were related to planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development and employment. From this article, we are going to see what are these core sectors or core industries. Core industries are the main or key industries of any economy. In most countries, these particular industries are backbone to rest of all other industries, whereas in India we have 8 core sectors which were called as core industries and were backbone to our economy. And those 8 core industries are coal, crude oil, natural gas, petroleum refinery products, fertilizers, steel, cement and electricity. These 8 are the core industries in India. It is the Union Ministry of Commerce and Industry that releases the index of these 8 core industries in our country. So these are the 8 core industries, and their growth only for these 8 core industries will be provided through an index by the Union Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Whereas there were some other industries also. We need to know growth of various sectors, like some of the sectors like electricity, mining, manufacturing, all this. Then how can we get growth of those industries? That is, we have an index known as Index of Industrial Production, which will be released by the Central Statistics Office of Ministry of Statistics and program implementation. This index will be published monthly, that is 6 weeks after the reference month ends. And this index will provide us and it will help us to understand growth of various sectors in the Indian economy like mining, electricity and manufacturing. So to measure their growth, any index needs a base year or any base value so that they can compare with that year to know the growth of the present sectors. So the base year for this IIP is 2011 and 12. Our next article is Sudhir Bhargava is the new CIC chief. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of governance, and here the subtopic is important aspects of governance, transparency and accountability. From this article we are going to see what is this CIC, Central Information Commission. This commission was established by the government under the provisions of an act known as Right to Information. This act was enacted in 2005 and it has enabled the central government to establish an institution known as Central Information Commission. This commission will be headed by the Chief Information Commissioner. And this Chief Information Commissioner will be assisted by Information Commissioners. These people will be appointed by the President based on the recommendations of a committee known as Select Committee, and that committee consists of Prime Minister, who will be the chairman of that committee, and leader of opposition in Lok Sabha, and there will be a Union Cabinet Minister who will be nominated by this Prime Minister. These three comprise of a select committee and they recommend who should be this Chief Information Commissioner and other information commissioners to the President, who will appoint them. Now what this commission does is it will hear all the appeals from the information seekers. That means we know that as per our RTI Act, we can seek information from any public authority or a public body. If they fail to provide us the information that we need, or if they delay it, then that particular person, the aggrieved person, can appeal to this Central Information Commission. This commission will hear those appeals from the information seekers who are not satisfied by the public authority, and it will also address some of the issues that were related to this RTI Act, and based on its function it will submit an annual report, yearly report to the Union government, that how it has implemented the provisions of this RTI Act. And the next article is Joint Parliamentary Committee clears its report on Citizenship Bill. This article comes under GS paper 1 under the topic of polity. From this article, now we are going to see about this Citizenship Bill, and from the prelims point of view, we should know what are the features of this bill. With this Citizenship Amendment Bill of 2016, what government is planning to do is, it is planning to change the definition of illegal migrants. This bill is seeking to amend Citizenship Act of 1955 by bringing some changes, that is changing the definition of illegal migrants, with an intention to provide citizenship to illegal migrants from Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan who were from Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, Jain, Parsi and Christian extraction. But this act doesn't have a provision for Muslim sects like Shias and Ahmadiyas, who also face persecution from Pakistan. So this bill is planning to reduce the requirement of 11 years of continuous stay in the country to 6 years to obtain citizenship by naturalization. We can acquire citizenship by birth or by naturalization. If the person stays in the country for a period of 6 years continuously, then that person will be provided with citizenship. Previously, according to our Citizenship Act of 1955, they should stay for 11 years. But now, this amendment bill is seeking to reduce it to 6 years term. And according to our Citizenship Act of 1955, an illegal immigrant is one who enters India without a valid passport or with the required documents, or a person who will stay in the country beyond visa permit. Now let's see our today's prelims questions. The first question is on Index of Industrial Production and who will be responsible for releasing this index. And the next question is on who is the adjudicating authority for insolvency resolution in case of individuals according to Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Try to answer these questions and post your answers in the comment box. Tomorrow we'll see detailed explanation in our video and we'll also provide that explanation in our core notes. And this is our Law Excellence website where you can access notes for this video, and this is our official Telegram channel where you can access the notes and the video as well. Thank you.